Welcome to episode 1 of the Dog Training Dogma podcast with your host, Jonathan Katz. In the studio with me, as will always be, is Hoodrat Heather, a.k.a. the Hitman's Bodyguard.
Hola.
Welcome, Heather.
Welcome, Jonathan.
This is exciting. This is episode 1. I've done a lot of interviews in my career. I used to have a series that I did in the PSA group, which was PSA TV, that I did for many years. You can go back in the PSA Canine Protection Sport Association Facebook group, and you can actually search for, if you type in the keywords PSA TV, you can bring up a bunch of episodes of trainers that I respect that I got to interview. But this is exciting. We spent all this time building this studio, and I've been wanting to do this for a long time, and I'm really happy that you're in the studio with me. Thank you.
I'm excited to be here.
So just a little bit of intro on me. I've been training dogs now for just over 20 years. I'm originally a classically trained chef. I started working in the food industry at age 13 or 14, and food is definitely one of my love languages. And so, whereas like gifts and acts of kindness and feeding people always gave me joy. Now, working in the food industry for, X amount of years, over 10 years, working in commercial kitchens, like there's really no love in the kitchen. It's running tickets all day. You're only good as the last meal you cooked. You only ever get any feedback is if a dish you put out sucked. So it's not very warm environment. It has the professional food industry has a 70% drug and alcohol rate and a 30% suicide rate. What does that tell you on how stressful of a career it is? And I was working my way up. I was working on South Beach. I worked for a famous chef named Michelle Bernstein in one of her, it was like casual fast dining on South Beach. It was basically like high-end bar food for all the drunk people on South Beach wanting something to eat at night. But while living in Florida, I rescued my first dog, and then I started rescuing more dogs, and before I knew it, I had a house full of dogs that were all behavioral cases. I had hired a franchise dog trainer to help me with my first dog, who was very aggressive, was rescued out of kind of a frat house situation. And when they came and did the eval, everything, they said it wasn't going to be a problem. They said, we can fix this. The guy had me muzzle the dog and keep the dog on the other side of the room. He didn't ask to see anything from the dog, but he was very confident. And so his confidence in being able to fix Buster's problems, like if he was that confident, then I should be confident in him. He sent someone else to do the lessons. After, I think it was like 3 or 4 lessons, I looked at the guy and I go, when are we going to start working on this aggression? Because he bit someone last night. The dog had 6 bites on him. I didn't know what I was doing. I had it was a pit shepherd mix and way too much drive, no clue, never owned a dog in my life. Wasn't allowed to have a dog growing up. Grew up in a 2-bedroom apartment, shared a room with my sister on the 16th story of an apartment on the Upper East Side of New York. My parents are like, if it's snowing, we're not going to walk the dog, and we know you're not going to walk the dog. I just wanted a dog. I would have taken any dog. But so my first dog, I'm trying to do right by the dog, and I paid all this money. I'm in school, in culinary school, and working full time, but being a responsible dog owner and putting money towards hiring a trainer, and basically having to fire him after 3 lessons. So once I had decided that what they were teaching me was not the end-all and be-all in dog training, there has to be better, I was like, well, we're going to go out and we're going to seek out this knowledge. And once I started seeking knowledge, it's been a forever journey. And the second I had a little bit of knowledge, I wanted more. And I wanted more. and I wanted more. And to this day, with over 20 years working with dogs day in and day out, I still want to know more. And I'm still fascinated by how the dog's brain works and the predictability of animal, just like human behavior, right? We can read humans just like we can read dogs. Heather and I talk about all the time is like reading micro expressions. And, if you don't know what micro expressions are, go on, I forgot what streaming service has it now, but look up, or you can go on YouTube and look up the show Lie to Me. And the show Lie to Me basically talks about that the face, the human face, gives all different expressions and will tell you sadness, anger, whether you're lying, whether you're thinking of an answer, whether you have disdain, whether there's scorn, right? And it's just fascinating. Dogs have micro expressions too. We have to learn how to read them and notice them, right? So dog training, has definitely is a journey. And for me, the constant thriving for knowledge is the most important part of the journey. Like with all of the instruction that I still do, I geek up over going to seminars. Like someone's out there that's going to teach me something that has proven themselves in the venue that I'm seeking the knowledge in, right? I have a major foundational issue with people teaching you things that have never actually accomplished what you're trying to accomplish. They can't tell you what it feels like. There's people out there teaching you how to, get ready for a national championship, and they've never stepped in a stadium into a national championship. They can't tell you that feeling. So to me, it's really important to teach what you know. Everyone's capable of teaching, but teach what you know, don't teach what you don't know. And if you've only ever gotten a PDC with a dog, you can only help people to that extent and that level. Like it really takes knowing all the pitfalls and knowing all the pluses and minuses and everything that you need to do to properly prepare these dogs for this fight, right? So PSA, for everyone that doesn't know what PSA is, Protection Sport Association is the sport that I've devoted most of my competition career competing in. When I first started in the sport, the sport was started in 2001. It is the longest running American protection sport. All of the previous protection sports come from Europe. The French created French Ring, which was a breed suitability test for the dogs in France. Schutzen was a breed suitability test for the dogs in Germany. Belgian Ring, or MBBK, was the breed suitability test for Belgium. So the countries had created all these programs to be able to test their breeding stock, because if you're breeding dogs that are not titled, they have not proved themselves that they are capable of being trained to a certain level of pressure and to a certain standard, right? That's why we compete. We compete because there is a certain rule book, there's a standard, and we are then being judged against that standard, and everyone's being judged against the same standard. Now, PSA is a surprise scenario sport, so it is subjective, and you'll hear people that do Schutzen or people that do French Ring, they'll be like, this is PSA is too subjective, and I'm like, but it is subjective. If I wrote scenarios, how could you judge my scenarios? Or you don't even know what the point structure is, because I created the point structure for that. Now we have general ideas of what point structures are, but nonetheless, that's the point structure, right? So, the goal of sitting down, building the studio, and being in here is to get even more raw and real into me and my crew and, all of my students and the people around me, and people that we respect, right? We have episode 2 coming up, is going to be Paul Edwards and Jeff Riccio. Like, I'm really excited for that. I'm excited to sit down. They're going to be our first guests in the studio. And it's going to be really exciting to have 2 people that I truly respect in the studio to discuss dogs, because that's really why we're here, right? We would have never met if it wasn't for dogs, right, Heather?
Definitely.
So I'm going to, since this is our intro episode, I'm just going to get basically everything out of the way. I want everyone to know where my politics land so that we don't have to go over this again. I believe that gay married couples should be able to protect their marijuana plants with assault rifles. Okay? I believe that everyone should do whatever makes them happy, and everyone should live their best life. As long as it does not affect me, I think everyone should be able to do whatever makes them happy. So I'm about people. I love people, and I love interacting with people, and I love that my career allows me to meet all these people and interact with people that I wouldn't normally be able to get to interact with, especially being an introvert, right? If you were going to classify me as a extroverted introvert. And you'd say, Jonathan, you talk, no problem. You say, but talking is also draining. But I have no problem talking, but when you're on, and when you're off, you need to be off, right? You can't be on all the time, right? So, we have a bunch of events coming up. We have our Dogma Police Canine Tournament Saturday, May 18th is really exciting. That's our first Police Canine tournament. There's going to be trophies and prizes, and definitely look out for that. I also wanted to wish a good luck to Jordan and Carter Haatid. They are competing soon at Mondio Worlds for Mondio 3 is really exciting. I'm really honored that a dog that I've bred is competing at a world level in a European sport, even though I competed with my dogs in an American sport, right? And so I'm really honored what Jordan and his mentor Joel have done. Joel's a phenomenal trainer. I really respect, the man. He's one of the first people I've seen their resume, and I'm like, this guy's resume shits on my resume, and my resume is 10 pages long, right? So the amount of people he's put at a world level, the amount of times he's won world champion, the amount of people that hate him over how successful he is. I think there's definitely something to be said about there are people that are very successful that stick to themselves that are hated, right? I was dealing with something one day, and one of my apprentices we were going to lessons on Long Island, and I was dealing with something on the internet, and he turns to me and he goes, Jonathan, my goal is to have as many people hate you as that, hate me as that hate you. And I look at him, I go, no, you don't want people to hate you. I go, but you also can't control who likes you and who doesn't like you. But the day when I was living in Chicago, and a friend of mine called me on a Monday, and he said, there was a bulldog tournament this weekend, and there was a group of 15 people standing around talking shit about you. And first of all, I said, well, the fact that you're standing there listening to them, are you really my friend? And then the other fact is, why do I rent space in these people's head for free? Why the hell should they not be enjoying their bulldogs and having fun at an event? Why do they have to sit there and talk about me? How does that benefit them? But it took me a long time to figure out that people that are insecure will talk bad about other people to make them feel better about themselves, right? So it's just a product of life, and you can't make everyone happy, but the goal is to affect as many people as you can, right? I'm the patron saint of wayward handlers. I will take in the disenfranchised, the people that were kicked out of other clubs, and trainers told them that their dog fucking sucked. Your dog's a washout. That's my child. You just told me that my kid sucks? Fuck you, right? How would you feel if someone told you that your dog sucked? That is my dog. I love that dog. Don't tell me that my dog sucks, right? So it's all about finding the trainer that you mesh with. And sometimes people just don't mesh well together, right? Putting a club together of people, that's a lot. It's a lot of personalities together in the same place, and trying to get everyone to vibe and work as a team, right? Because it's not about the individual member, it's about the entire group as a whole, because if everyone works together, everyone will be strong together. If everyone tries to fight each other and all this, inner bickering, all you're doing is fighting the program, right? We had, it was our last trial in New York. our last Strong Island trial, and I have, multiple club members getting ready to compete, and we have the Battle of the Pit Bulls. I have 2 of my students that I've been helping them raise their pit bulls for a year or 2 years, and they're going for their PDC. And even though a PDC is pass or fail, but this is bragging rights, right? And they're literally sitting there talking shit back and forth of, I'm going to beat you. No, I'm going to beat you. No, results over excuses. No, it doesn't fucking matter. Just train the fucking dog in front of you. Well, what happened? A month out from trial, my apprentice Isaiah brings out his cousin's dog, and we're just at the end of training one day. He just brings the dog out. He has Dave work the dog, and I just see this pit bull like fly across the yard, and I'm like, where'd that dog come from? He's like, it's my cousin's dog. I said, go put the dog away and come back. And he comes back, and I said, what does that dog know? That dog has basic obedience? He goes, yep, he's got basic obedience. I said, does he know an out? He knows an out. I said, okay, we're going to put a PDC on this dog in a month. And he's like, what? I said, in a month, we're going to put a PDC on this dog. If we don't do it, we don't do it, but this is going to be our goal, and Isaiah's a very goal-oriented person and wants to learn, so it's all about experience, so let's do it. If I told you that he beat the other 2 guys that are fighting over themselves, and he came with a dog that he trained for a month. Now, the dog had previous training, but a dog that he trained for a solid month when they had been training for a year or 2 years respective. When you put all of that mental pressure on yourself, all it does is just trickle down into the dog. Every year that I didn't win national champion, I'm like 8 or 9 or 10-time national vice champion, always a bridesmaid, never a bride. The 1 year that I won national champion was the year that I'm like, I'm not going to win. It doesn't matter. I just love my dog, and I just want to show my dog. And that's really all that matters, right? So we have some stuff going on in the school. We are into our second trimester of the year, which is exciting. Students coming in. I love students come from all over, and slow and steady wins the race, right? When I started the class last year, we closed on the school in March, but I spent all of March on the West Coast in California for our 4th annual, West Coast trip. And then we were here from April, and from April we started working, and from April we started picking up broken glass from the 12-year-old that came by and broke almost every window, and we've been, fixing the place up ever since. And when we started in July, everyone's like, you can't start a class that soon. And I said, but why not? To me, it's the quicker that I can start, the quicker that I can show the benefit of what we're doing here, of what our goal is as a school, as an environment. We have an actual school. We purchased Old Mart Independent School District. It was a 13 building campus over 16 acres with a full football field and, 96,000 square feet of building, right? So everyone's like, this place is huge. This is so much work. To me, the exciting part is growing into it. I wanted the vibe, we've been searching for this place for years, and the vibe I always wanted was the X-Men was, Xavier's School for the Gifted, right? I wanted that, I didn't want an industrial feel. I wanted a place where students can, have their books under their arm and go and walk to class. And, after class, they can walk back to their dorm and run their dogs on one of the fields or, go and use one of the amenities. Where next year where the cafeteria is going to be a dog-friendly cafe, right? So, to also get to pair my passion of food, because even though I stopped working professionally in the food industry, I still love cooking. And anyone that's ever been to one of my events, something that we hosted, a seminar, a trial, I always cook the food. Because I think food really makes the event, and the food is really important. And without good food, really, what do we have? you're at a trial, you can't go anywhere, and now you get served a frozen Bubba burger. And you're just like, oh, this doesn't make me feel good about myself. I woke up at 4 a.m. just to bring my dog to the trial, and now I'm just like eating like crap, right? When we went to the Dallas trial, right, I made us, me, you, and Adrian, individual salads.
It was amazing, by the way.
I made some tuna salad, and we then each ate a salad. It was like a balsamic vinaigrette with a scoop of tuna, and I don't know why, it just made me feel better about myself. It could be the placebo effect, but nonetheless, I was in a really good mood. I didn't feel greasy, right? So like, that's something fun that we like to do, and that still involves cooking, but it involves cooking for loved ones. It involves cooking for people that I care about. And when I'm hosting a seminar, for the Jeff and Paul seminar coming up, I'm making burgers the first day, and then tacos the second day, right? And those are very easy foods for me to cook, and they're just delicious, and people like those kinds of things. They're easy. So we have, talking about projects, our next big project is, so the podcast studio is actually in our big gymnasium. This is the old one of the coaches' office. And so our big gymnasium, the square footage of the main basketball court, I think we said is like 5,700 square feet. And so I'm just waiting on, we've ordered turf and from a local stadium that's being re-turfed. And so we're waiting for that to come in. That's really exciting, even though it's not large enough to host a trial in. But nonetheless, I can mimic trial-like pictures in a climate-controlled environment. It's also going to be good for us to have protection tournaments during the summer. You can't be outside in the Texas heat, but you can be indoors with climate control, And then we lose daylight, and we don't have lights on the field yet. That is a goal. That's our next year goal, is permanent trial field with outdoor kitchen. I want to build the big barbecue pit, and I want to make like Peruvian chicken all day and, smoke ribs. And I want you to just show up to the trial, and there's just like this wafting of just delicious smells the whole day just to make you excited, right? And then we got the Pro Shop up and running. Jennifer has printed us out. We have, shirts in all different sizes. You can go, and we have some shirts from previous events we hosted, and it's just kind of cool. People come into the Pro Shop. We have some tugs, some rewards, and just basically every day filling it with some more leather work and stuff like that. And it's just people that come here and they look and they go, oh my God, this is a daunting task. This is such a large task. And we don't look at it that way. Like each day we just chip away at a different project. And as long as we got something done, like there's so much to do, but as long as we got something done, we feel good about what our progress was for the day. And we feel good about then waking up the next day and doing the next project, And every time people come, they haven't been here in a couple of months, and then they come back and something's new, right? And that's the goal is, of the 13 buildings, it's like 7 or 8 of them up and running, right? And, the next project for next year is to build more dorms. Ultimately, we should have like 20 dorms for students, and so being able to offer more to more people on a larger scale and to be able to work with more people, is just as exciting. So, Cheetah got her PSA 1. I'm really proud of her. She is a daughter of my dog Puma, who is my third PSA 3 dog, and Cheetah is also a granddaughter of Uzi, which was my first PSA 3 dog, was my bomb dog and my patrol dog when I used to work for the Israeli government, was given to me by my main mentor, Walid Malouf. He's definitely the gentleman that brought me into what I say was like the next realm, or opened up my third eye in dog training and made me think about dog training in another light. as opposed to black and white. And so, to keep the lineage, and I'm a sentimental guy, so, and she's also a daughter of Ryu, which is my best friend Jeff Ricchio's, main stud dog that is a Zuko Isis kid. So you're basically combining, to me, two of the strongest lines in PSA being basically purposely bred for PSA, right? These dogs have proven themselves, so I'm really excited that I have her, and I really just enjoy training the dog. She's just a fun dog, but when I got her, I bred her. I gave her as a puppy to one of my club members, and they just, got out of sport. Life changed, and so they sold her back to me, and when I got her back, she wanted to eat everyone. So we spent some time working on her not eating people. Decoy neutrality wasn't that hard. It was the steward and the judge, the unsuited people, that was really kind of the struggle. And so I waited. I had her signed up for January in Tampa last year. And I pulled her out to do open field a day or two before, and I go, she's not ready. She's not ready. She'll do it. She'll pass, but she's not ready. And I've learned my mistake with previous dogs is putting a dog on the field before they're ready. Even if they're going to bite and they're going to pass, but before they're ready to give that correct precision, you're just letting the dog learn mistakes and you're letting the dog learn lessons. If the dog comes on the field and is allowed to not look at me and walk with an inconsistent heel, that's basically what your heel is going to be. You can make it better, but for the most part, that's probably what it's going to be. It's only going to get a little bit better. Whereas, Cheetah, on my score sheet, it says 20 out of 20 in healing. That took a long time to do. That took an extra year. And I waited an entire extra year to show her. And I see these people that are just they're trying to throw so many chips on the table, thinking that the more time I show is the more chances I have of passing. And it's just the wrong mentality. This is not the mentality that you need. The mentality you need is train the dog, and when the dog is ready, then show the dog. People are trying to put the cart in front of the horse. You're trying to just wish it and will it to happen. And if you're not training your fucking ass off, train harder. Make sure the dog is ready. People come to me and they want coaching. Here's the hardest part about coaching people. People have to be coachable. If you're not coachable, then you can ask all the questions you want, but if you're not going to take the advice, how many times, okay, the dog's not ready. We've learned the dog's not ready. Okay, I'm not going to show again until you think that I'm ready. The next trial comes up. Are we ready? We haven't done anything in between when we said that we're not going to be ready until we're ready again. You can't just keep throwing things on the table and expecting them to stick. You have to train the dog, and the dog has to be prepared, and you should feel prepared too, right? So I waited an extra year. I waited an entire extra year to put her on the field because I wanted the 20 out of 20 in healing. I even though the ones don't really matter to me because my goal again is to have 4 PSA 3 dogs, but still, I still have to put down numbers. I can't go out and put down anything less than what I put down. All you do is open yourself up to ridicule. At this point, at this stage in my career, a PSA 1, I should be able to put down a correct score. Now, when you go into the 3s, everyone fucking fails. Everyone fails. The failure rate is so high. Be prepared to fail, expect to fail. It's the reason why you're not going to see top trainers from other sports ever come into PSA. You're never going to see a trainer come out of 20 years of retirement and go and compete in PSA. The chance of them failing is too high because statistically the chance of failing is so high. They're opening themselves up to ridicule. Because if I win national champion or I get a PSA 3 and then I retire, then I'm only good as that last thing that I did because I didn't do anything after. My goal, my thriving to want to have so many PSA 3s is because as a chef, you're only good as the last dish that you cooked. You know, I can tell you about stuff I did in the past. You know, if I trained in the 80s and I won using this method in the 80s and it worked, but we're in 2024. Like, this is 40 years. A lot's happened in 40 years, right? So we have to be able to progress, and we have to be able to get to the point where, you know, we're constantly thriving to make the dog better, because that's really what we're here for. We're here to train the dogs, right? So I showed Cheetah at our trial. We showed on Saturday. I'm not normally a 2-day showing, but I honestly just wanted to get my one out of the way and then move on to the 2s so that I can ultimately move on to the 3s and hopefully be in the 3s as quickly as I can with still training the dog properly. So I go out, I show on Saturday, we get a first leg, make one mistake she had in training like the week before. For some reason, she wanted to recall in motion to my right side. And I spent the week not hyper-focusing on it, but I had worked on fixing it. And so on Saturday, she came to my right side. So I lost a bunch of points there. And then on Sunday, I just cued her. I just did that with my head to the left. And I didn't even move my shoulder. But when I was looking, she's like, oh, okay. And she understood to come to the left. But so I did them both on my trial field, right? I've never had home field advantage in the past. You know, in New York and Chicago, like New Jersey, all you ever do, you have to go out and rent fields. No one has their own field, you know? And now the fact that I have my own football field to train on, that's going to be a combination, you know, it's going to be broken up into 2 fields, PSA and Mondio, so a dirty field, and then Schutzen and French Ring, a clean field, right? And basically be able to have the opportunity to train whenever I want on my own field is amazing. But then people say, well, it's because he was on his own field. Okay. There's a trial the next weekend. I've got to work all week. I'm not regularly going to have a ton of time to train the dog. I don't really need to train the dog. The dog's trained. So decide to go out and go to the trial the next weekend and show again. I really just wanted a second opinion, even though I trust the opinion of the first judge, but I still wanted a second opinion. And it's my dog that I trained and I can show. And people were not happy that I showed up and took home all the trophies. People were very upset. Someone literally said to one of my training partners, they said, do you want me to blow my whistle so the dog recalls him early so he doesn't take first place? Like, I failed enough on my own. Why does it need to be that someone else needs to wish me to fail? If they wanted to win, they could have just trained their dog better. You know, like, to me, cheaters and liars and thieves, like, it's all blasphemy, right? You know, thieves should get their hands cut off. Like, you know, why would you ever even if you're having intrusive thoughts, why would you say those out loud to someone, especially to someone that I'm close with? Like, and then I'm also a judge in this sport. You're then also potentially going to show under me, like, even though I'm a professional and I'm going to treat everyone professionally, you could be my worst enemy. My worst enemy, as long as when you come to the trial field, you're respectful because I am the presiding judge, we're fine. We have no problems. Just don't be disrespectful. Like, it doesn't matter. You're my best friend, you're my worst enemy, you're going to get judged the same because my professionalism and my care for the love of the sport and how everything's supposed to be run and how fair it's supposed to be, that's always going to keep me true, right? But why would you even say that? Like, that's just it's really hard to hear, you know, even though you know that it exists, but when you hear it, that people really wish you to fail, it's just sad, right? You know, we had a trial years ago. A gentleman, he went for his PDC, and in trials, you can like ask to go first. No one wants to go first. So like you'll every so often have the person that like asks to go first. And so, there's 12 people going for their PDC. It's only a PDC. It's pass or fail, but it's 12 professional dog trainers. So we're now at bragging rights, right? And so 2 people that I coached are going for their PDC, and both of their dogs are sniffing in the down in the figure 8. And then I'm looking, and other dogs are sniffing in the down in the figure 8. And then I'm like, of these 12 dogs, most of the dogs are sniffing. And I said to someone, I go, that's really weird that these dogs are sniffing in the down. There should be no reason to sniff. They never sniff in training. Oh, the guy, his dog is in heat. And I said, wait, what? The guy that asked to go first? And they go, yeah. So I walk right over. This is the New Yorker comes out of me. Like I walk right over. He's standing in a group of people, and I walk right into the center of the group, and I go, your dog is in heat? And he goes, yeah. And I said, and you asked to go first? Yeah. I go, you're a piece of shit. And I walked away. Like, and he didn't even get the highest score. He cheated to try to get the higher score, to distract all the other dogs. He knew what he was doing. He's not stupid. He knew what he was doing. And what happened? He still didn't take the highest score. That's where karma is, right? Karma's a bitch. Like karma will come back to haunt you. If you're a good person, good things happen. At what age in my life did I realize that the power of positive thought is one of the most powerful things in your life? Because you can will yourself literally to die. If you keep telling yourself that you're going to die, eventually you're going to die. But if you will yourself to be happy and to change yourself and to be better, and you look at things positively. I used to give me a problem, and I would think about it negatively. And now when you give me a problem, I'm just going to turn around and turn it into a lesson. I'm going to say, oh, well, that was supposed to happen, so we learned this lesson now, so we didn't learn it later on, right? We need to learn from our mistakes. We learn from our failure, because we don't learn anything from success. We only learn from failure. So it's so important that we actually remember these failures and we use them to actually make us stronger, right? It's like childhood trauma. Everyone's got childhood trauma. Now, if I said you can go back and you can relive your childhood with no trauma, yeah, well, I think most of us would say, yeah, I'll go do it. But I will also tell you that all of that childhood trauma turned you into the person you are today, and wouldn't want you to be any other person, right? Everyone should be themselves, right? So, to me, I'm just going to do me, and I'm just going to continue to train my dogs and have fun with my dogs and train with my club and help the people that I can help. One of my favorite things as a dog trainer is getting dogs to bite that other trainers said the dog was a wash. One of my favorite things to do is to help the trainer that their dog was a washout of a previous program, of another trainer's program, couldn't even get a PDC, and now we have the dog in the twos. Like, it's not about proving that other person wrong. It's about proving us right and proving that the dog and the handler is worth something. How many times do people go to a new trainer, and now the trainer goes, your dog is shit. I go, okay, you're talking about my child. Like, to me, if someone comes to me with the wrong dog, but they're the right handler, you nurture the handler, you help them with that dog to whatever extent they can be. That dog's PDC might be a PSA 3, or that dog's PSA 3 might be a PDC. That's fine. We then find them the dog that can get them a PSA 3 if that's their goal. But it's about nurturing the person, because the person is really dogs don't put themselves in the car and put money in their mouth and drive themselves to training and be like, here, train me, it's the person that's the most important part. Because to be honest with you, even with my pet dog owners, obviously I want the dog to be happy, but I could care not as much about the dog being happy as the people being happy, because 9 times out of 10, if the dog's happy, the people are happy. And if the dog listens, the people are happy. So it's about making the client happy, and through correct training, it's making the dog happy and healthy, right? So, it's failure is where we learn. Other people are going to wish us to fail, but if we learn from our failures, we will have success. The thing that sold this property for me was the Mart Independent School District. The town of Mart, even though it's a small town with a population of, I think, just over 1,500 people, we have one traffic light, right? But the town is very rich in football history. Sorry, this is how much I know about sports. Just so you know, I only like dog sports. The only thing that gets me excited for the TV is I watch cooking shows like their sporting events, right? I'm like, don't put that garnish there. That's too much garnish, right? But, they have such a rich football. They have 777 wins, and it's like, 14 state championships or whatever it is. And they put a few guys in the NFL. So they have a lot of trophies. And when we came into the big gymnasium and you basically walk into a trophy case, I'm like, this is where I want to be. This is where I want to be able to put my trophies. But I'll tell you that you walk into that trophy case, all of those trophies are subsequential. Like, all of those trophies happened because I trained the fucking dog. Like, I never intended on winning any of those trophies. I intended on accomplishing my goals, and the trophies came with accomplishing my goals. So they're reminders of success, but you don't learn anything from any of those trophies. I can't look back at any of those trophies. I can tell you which one's my favorite. There's a broken one. It's my first one. And I had never won a trophy before in my life. I won an honor in high school. My mother was so proud of me. It was an award for public speaking in senior year of high school. It was the easiest class. All I have to do is talk. Like, I don't have to do math, and I don't need to write anything down. I have learning disabilities. I was dyslexic till I was 7. Like, everything's makes sense up here. It doesn't necessarily make sense on paper. But other than that, I had never won a physical trophy. And when Uzi closed out his second leg of his 2, one of the competitors there, Ariel Peldunas, if she showed up to a trial, she was winning every trophy. Like, she was in the 3s and she would win every trophy. She got a 98 in obedience in the 3s. Like, if she was there, she won. And so we're very used to going to award ceremonies that are basically Ariel ceremonies, right? And so we go to the award ceremony, and they go, high protection goes to Jonathan and Uzi. And I was in shock because, again, I'd never won a trophy in my life. And, like, it was such a pivotal moment of, like, hard work and dedication does pay off. And if you bust your ass, like, you can win. And I'm not really a competitive person. My competition is more with myself. I want to prove myself right because my entire life everyone told me I wasn't capable of anything. So it's always there to prove myself right because I know what I'm capable of. So, this is a big undertaking. This place is gigantic. And, you get some people that come here and they go, oh, this is a lot of work. This is going to take you forever. And I go, yeah. I go, as long as it takes me is as long as it takes us, right? Because the entire process is exciting. And then we have people that come here and they're like, oh, my God, this place is huge. This is so cool. And those are really the people that can see the vision. My partners, Jennifer and Tracy, like, they said, well, let's just get a piece of property, Jonathan, and start building. And I said, no, the place has to have a vibe. And, when we were looking at this place, there were so many different things that kind of pointed us here. And, like, all signs pointed to Mart, And I definitely remember after signing the papers, driving here, like speeding here and then pulling into the parking lot and like getting down on the ground and like, embracing the parking lot as like this is our property and we own this. We own this place cash, and so the only thing that take us away is the government and natural disaster. But other than that, we ain't going anywhere. So to me, this is going to be here forever, and we're building something. We have coming up in September 7th and 8th is our Dogma Demons, our second trial of the year. And what's our theme, Heather?
It's the 80s.
The 80s. Who doesn't love the 80s? If you don't love the 80s, we can't be friends. 80s music is one of the best, genres of music of all times. I don't like metal, but I love hair metal. Everything, 80s movies. 80s movies are it's all just a catalyst to play 80s songs, So that's exciting. So the theme is 80s, and so we're going to have awards and prizes for best outfit, right? You can't wear costumes, but to me, you have to play within the guidelines of what the rule book states, and it has to say it has to be athletic wear, but you can pull out an Adidas jumpsuit with some shell toes and a Kangol hat, whoever's got the best outfit is going to win. Brandon's going to be on the ones and twos. We're going to have a DJ the whole time. Everyone's going to have walkout music. Have you picked out your song, Heather?
I have a couple in mind, but I haven't picked yet.
I think I know what I want to do. Now you have 2 days of showings. So I think I know what I want to do. Definitely one of my favorite things of the year I've been competing at nationals since 2010 is as I'm driving to trials, as I'm thinking about competing, I think about what would be my walkout song for that year. And so this is just exciting as to have walkout music for just a regular club trial, but the trial's definitely going to be a vibe. It's definitely going to be, if you love the 80s, it's a vibe. And, we're going to serve 80s foods. What is 80s foods?
I didn't even know what an 80s food would be.
I was thinking, how about walking tacos? I found these. We found they're like walking taco bags, and I'm gonna make some chili, and we'll figure out what's some good 80s themed foods. And as I said, our next episode is Paul Edwards and Jeff Riccio. I talked a little bit before, but I'm really excited to have these guys. I've had Jeff for multiple seminars at my facilities. I brought him to Chicago twice. He was here last year for a seminar, and now to have him and Paul together teaching. I've yet to see them teach together, but they're both phenomenal instructors, and them kind of dividing the time of Paul teaching people and guiding their obedience and teaching them how to play. For everyone that doesn't know, Paul's one of Ivan's top students and is licensed to teach Ivan's system. And, it's a big honor because a lot of trainers went to Ivan's class and failed. A lot of big-time trainers went and failed. And, Paul just was able to understand the concept and put it to play. And Paul and Jeff are both, old training partners of mine. We don't get to train on a regular basis because I live in Texas now, yeehaw. And as you can see, Heather's got her Texas hat on, Longhorns. But, we love it here, and we really this is we're embracing. We buy y'all water, right? I drive a pickup truck now. I never in my life wanted a pickup truck, and now all of a sudden I moved to Texas and I want a 1911 and a pickup truck. I don't understand. So last thing today is I wanted to say that, Heather, this episode is dedicated to you, and I want to really thank you for everything that you do. And for everyone that doesn't know, Heather is the one that found this place. We originally had put a bid on a place in Florida, and we were outbid by Pitbull. Mr. Worldwide, the rapper, Pitbull outbid us on our school. It was also a school. It was a school. It was in the panhandle of Florida. I love Florida. Jennifer and Tracy love Florida. Heather loves Florida. So we're like, oh, we can move to Florida. And Pitbull outbid us. Everyone asked what was Pitbull doing with the property. I said he was starting a school for dog trainers, but he only trains pit bulls. I don't know what he's doing. I think he's just in real estate, and it was a good deal. So, but Heather's the one that found this place, and we would not have this without you. And I just want, from the bottom of my heart, I want you to know how special you are to me and how much you mean to me. And, you know, we call her the hitman's bodyguard because, you know, she's out there looking out for all of us. She's the keeper of the decoys. She's the maker of the clatter sticks. And, you know, none of this place would run without you. And you're an integral part of this. And that's why I'm really happy to have you in the studio with me for all the episodes. I'm Howard Stern, and Heather is my Robin Quivers. And so I really want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for everything that you do.
I thank you because I couldn't do what I do with my dogs without you. I wouldn't even have my dogs without you.
How'd you get Molly? I was trying to trick Heather into taking a dog that I had, and the whole time she was trying to trick me into selling her the dog.
It worked.
Yeah. And now you've collected all the flavors.
I have the whole PSA
dogs.
3 set.
And now we're raising young dogs together. So Lion and Honey Badger. And they're a little bit slower to mature, but we're taking our time and, you know, in just enjoying training the dogs, because that's really the most important thing. So thank you, Heather.
Thank you, Jonathan.
Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. If you enjoyed this episode, please give us a like, give us a share. You know, my goal is for us to put out an episode every week or every other week and really dive into, you know, dog training in a greater depth. And, you know, we're going to have, as I said, next episode, we have 2 guests in the studio. And the episode after, episode 3, we're going to bring my partners Jennifer and Tracy into the studio, and I'm excited to have them here. And we can talk more about the school and what the goal is in the future. And I'm just excited to be able to now, you know, document these forever, doing lives and interviews. And you know, thank you so much for watching, and I really appreciate everyone. If we'd also like to do reviews of products, and so if you have a product that you're looking for us to review and give you some honest review on, we'd love to. And please stay tuned for next episode. Thank you.
Yay.